speaking of like the way things change and you don't expect it. I remember like you and I talked about Bitcoin, you know, back not at the beginning, but at the very early stages. So we were invited to go give talks, and you know, we wrote some articles, and we had a good time enjoying this, being there around there trying to tell people about it. And I just had for the first time the sensation I had when I was building houses out in Colorado, where out there, you know, I had a business partner, we bought a house, we were renovating, it was going really well. And then I would go to dinner parties or just parties outside, and random people like an attorney or, you know, some banker or somebody would be like, "Oh, you're flipping houses? I'm going to do that too. I hear how easy it is to make money. All you got to do is like buy the house and flip it." And that's when my buddy Court and I looked at each other and we were like, dude, it's time to get out of this.
Yeah,
like
right.
we gotta go. And so I'm conflicted because the other day I started hearing people that were so against Bitcoin that it was not even funny. Now being like, this is the obvious thing. It's the obvious way to make money. And I'm a holder. Like I'll just long-term, I just buy it and hold it. But it does seem to me like we've seen this giant rush into it, that it's like, everybody has come to the conclusion that there's enough people that believe in it that it's okay to believe in, and it's kind of Rene Girard's mimetic desire. I see enough other people want it, so therefore I want it. But I think things are going to get awfully wild in this space because so many more people have jumped in.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it means to be a currency on some level, right? Is that you believe that you'll be able to exchange it for something else of value in the future. And, there's some problems with transaction volume in Bitcoin. It's never going to be, hundreds of thousands of transactions a second. You know, it's not going to replace Visa, at least on layer 1, possibly layer 2. But I think in the long run, the dynamics of this are, and not an investment advice for you or whatever, but personally, I feel like I don't foresee a time when it would not be a good time to put money into Bitcoin.
That's always my because I see all these people doing this crazy, like, I think it's going to hit a price ceiling and then it's going to go down 40% and like,
and it's, you know what? It probably will.
Yeah.
Like, it probably will, but why play games with it?
Exactly.
Just dollar cost average, stack and sats, as they say, just getting into it. Don't play the game. You're not, like, this is an amazing opportunity, like a once in a millennium level opportunity. I feel like, honestly, that the inception of a new mode of economics, even like this is, hunter-gatherer to agriculture to industry to information age. And now we're kind of like taking off with this distributed information age, whatever you want to call this. Right. And I think it's got legs. I think it makes a lot of sense. And the reason that people are enthusiastic about it is because the rest of what's going on in the world seems sclerotic and, entropy ridden and, troublesome. And it's not to say that there are not problems with Bitcoin or other things that can go wrong with it. But the core ethos of this is we're just going to go and build something. And, good luck. I hope you like it, because we're building it anyway. And that's kind of what's happening. And I think that's what needs to be done, as opposed to, chopping each other's, legs off at the ankle and arguing about, this and that. It's like, just go build something instead and try to make something work. And that's what it feels like it is.
Yeah. Bitcoin reminds me of the concept, you and I have talked about this before, that John Boyd talked about, right? You can either be somebody or you can do something.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin seems to be one of those things of like people just doing something, right? And like we kind of have in our culture this concept of be somebody, but be somebody drags you into the day-to-day milieu, the fight that you're talking about all the time. Whereas like these people were just like, it's not easy to write this code. It's not easy to set up these structures, but like, we're just going to do it. And we're going to do it for a long enough period of time that we're building the thing that we want, and that like, then we have the thing that we want.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not to say that it's like They're avoiding the day-to-day troubles of real life, because that's exactly the opposite of this, right? It's that in order to be somebody, you're playing status games. You're engaging in the social hierarchy. You're positioning yourself with other people in terms of social status, and there's some place for understanding, relations to other human beings. Like, this is not totally black and white. I don't want to, paint it like that. But in the end, deeds are really the thing that matter. Like, your intentions, we can all argue about that. Like, how much does this really matter? I don't know. It's an open-ended philosophic question, but, it's hard to argue with deeds.
Yeah, just create. It was interesting. I just passed 200 podcast episodes. And when I started at 1, the idea of getting to 100 was like almost unimaginable. And now that I'm past 200, it's like I can barely believe it, right? That's 200 at least hour-long conversations with totally different people. And the way you get there is not by trying to get to 200. The way you get there is you just do the next one. And I think I think since you and I met, and Bitcoin and Stoicism and a lot of these other things that we've talked about, right? Like, it's very much just like, don't try and take on all these things, just do the next step. And I think, like, whenever I get confused or exhausted, like, I'm usually trying to strive for some like crazy out there thing, as opposed to being like, what is the next step I should take?
Yeah, how can I put something in the bank, just something simple and make progress? That's interesting. I think, and if I could presume to ask you a question, or ask you to say something here. You once, I can't remember the exact phrasing of it, but it was about how to quit smoking. And it feels like this is the exact same thing, but just kind of with the reverse polarity. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how do you quit smoking? You just don't smoke the next one, right? Like, that's it. That's the key.
You don't really have to quit. You just have to quit smoking the next one.
Yeah, you just like, and then you're not like quitting all future cigarettes.
Yeah,
you're just quitting the next one. And that made it so much more manageable to me, because then it would be presented that I would be presented with one choice. Like, do I want to smoke a cigarette today? And I don't have to actually do the entire day of no smoking. I just have to say no to this one right here. And like, to me, that's actually been how I've quit all sorts of things, and then you pick up bad vices and, like,
yeah, there's no magic, right?
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about vices, and about how so much of life is really about being able to figure out what the vice is that I picked up after I set the last one down.
Yeah, because you had some kind of nervous energy that you were taming or something, right? That's interesting, right? Like, there's got to be a combination of, vice is the opposite of virtue. So it's like, those are the things that you should be going away from, and virtues are the things that you should be going towards, I guess, maybe, do something that you could imagine that's virtuous instead of vicious.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.